Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. On this page, I talk about technology and money. So I hope y'all are having a good week so far here where I am. We had some snow the last couple of days. It's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a week, but overall things are good. So welcome back. If you're returning or a returning subscriber, or welcome if you are new here. And if you're new here or a new subscriber, if you'll leave a comment below and say new subscriber or new to the page, if you'll leave a comment below, I'll be sure to welcome you and just say hello and thank you for watching. So today, y'all, today I want to talk about Nurse Blake, the Joint Commission, and the power of social media, the power of nurses. So today, I want to talk about Nurse Blake, the Joint Commission, and the power of nurses on social media. Y'all, so nurses on social media, it's not a new thing. Nurses have been on, even before like the Twitters and the MySpace and the Instagrams and the Facebook groups, clinicians have been online. There have been like message boards and places like that. But if you're not familiar or following along, there are millions of nurses on social media, millions. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what's been happening. This is really new. Okay. So I'm going to talk about what's been happening over. It hasn't even really been a full 48 hours. And this Nurse Blake, and then also the Joint Commission, their response and what they have posted on their social media page, literally that has not been a full 24 hours. So I'm going to give a little background on just all of it. And then I'm also going to share some things, and also just some thoughts, not only for just like, people who are not nurses, but also just people who actually work in healthcare, administrators, just some feedback. And these thoughts are my own. I want to make that very clear. So I'll start with the Joint Commission. So if you work in healthcare, or you work for a healthcare organization or a health system or a hospital or a clinic or an organization that provides care to patients or provides services to patients, you know who the Joint Commission is, okay? You know who they are. What they do is they help provide regulations and standards and quality improvement policies. And I think they also do procedures as well. They're a regulatory agency, okay? And so I've worked in the past. I don't work for a hospital right now, but I've worked in the past, in a hospital. So if you're a nurse working at the bedside, working in any type of department as part of a hospital, you know who the Joint Commission is. They come on a rotational basis to survey facilities and, look to assure that those facilities are the services they provide and how the facility is kept. They provide like feedback to ensure those organizations are operating within certain standards. Okay, and I'll just leave it at that. So I have pulled up on my screen, and y'all just bear with me. I'm still learning like screen sharing and StreamYard and things like that. So if things get a little wonky, I just ask for your patience. I appreciate it. So you know who the Joint Commission is, okay? So this is their Instagram page, okay? But let me just flip over now to Nurse Blake, okay? So let me pull up my other screen here. So this is the Joint Commission's Instagram page. And before I talk about this post that they literally made last night, okay? And the post that the Joint Commission made last night was in response to Nurse Blake and also a nonprofit organization that looks like he is now affiliated with, and what they have been posting and talking about on their social media pages over the past 48 hours. Literally, like today is Saturday where I am, and it first came on my radar on Thursday, not too long after he posted. So let me go to Nurse Blake's Instagram page. But let me just say, So Nurse Blake is not only on Instagram, he is also on TikTok. He also has a Facebook group. He also has a website. He is very well known. He's a very popular, well known nurse social media influencer. Okay. So you can see even here, just on Instagram alone, he has almost 1 million followers. Okay. He almost has 1 million followers. And on his TikTok page, he has over 500,000 followers. He has about, I think about 600,000 or 700,000 followers on TikTok. And so his videos and his content, I've been following Nurse Wade, I don't want to say maybe like a year or two, but his content, I would say, it's about 90 to 95% comedy. Well, it's been about 95% comedy for the most part. Over the past few years, he has millions of followers. Nurses send him content, right? So he does a lot of call to actions. Like, so some of his comedic content on his social media pages, he'll post, like, I noticed, like on Instagram, mostly on Instagram, on Instagram, you have stories, and he'll say, okay, the category is nurses' break rooms, and he'll ask nurses to send de-identified pictures of like the break room and how, just funny, like a funny angle of like how nurses' break rooms end or it are. Or like he did a category, he did a call to action, a story about, okay, the category is hospital decorations. And I'll talk a little bit further on in the video about a call to action that he did that really went viral. And when that one went viral, that's when I knew that his reach is way beyond just like nursing and healthcare. Okay, so he is a comedian. He's actually very funny. You see, he hosts several accreditations. Okay. He did a 2021 comedy tour, and his comedy tour in the city, he went all over the United States, and most of the cities that his show went to sold out. And these aren't like small venues that he was selling out. Like, he was selling out like theaters. He did come to North Carolina. That's where I'm based, in the city where he came to Charlotte, Durham. He came to Charlotte and Durham, and I think that was it. But even here, his shows sold out. I know in some cities he added like a second night because like the first nights were selling out. And like the theaters that he are doing, like I think he did the Fillmore. I think it was the Fillmore in Charlotte. But he's doing like nice size theaters, where they usually do like plays and concerts and things like that. Okay, so his tour. Let me adjust myself. Sorry, yeah. So his tour was really wildly successful, and this wasn't his first comedy tour. And at the end of this tour, just like he did with the tour in the year past, he gave a Tesla away at the end of the tour. So the nurse who won the Tesla, not the tour he just did most recently, the tour he did before that, she got a Tesla. She posted the Tesla. I believe and y'all allege, I think she sold it, got the cashed out or something like. It was beautiful car. So he did a Tesla giveaway. And then, also as part of the tour, just like a lot of artists do, you collect the information of like your patrons and people who come to your shows. So that gives you the opportunity to stay connected with your fans. And if someone doesn't, if they just find out about you before they are subscribed to, your social media, your newsletters, or your websites, if you collect their information as part of them attending your show, that's another way for you to stay connected with them and continue to have that reach. So I did go to one of the shows he did in North Carolina. And again, most of his content on social media is mostly comedic. And I just noticed here over the last few days, he's starting to more so move over to the activism side. Like, he's always done like little sprinkles here and there of like, activism content. When I say activism content, you can see here. Okay. I'm going to share some of his videos, like maybe just like one or two of his past videos, but I definitely want to touch on his most recent one where he's now calling out the Joint Commission. Okay. So that's like David going after Goliath, right? To me, this is my just personal opinion, but calling out the Joint Commission and using the power of his audience and his fans and the people who follow him, that's really big. And it's gotten so big here. And again, this is all new. This is only within the last 48 hours that the Joint Commission has now responded. And I'm gonna share just a few I'm gonna share the Joint Commission's post and their response. But the nurses in the Joint Commission's comment, they have been lighting them up, right? I don't know, and I was thinking, like, literally, I was just scrolling on social media and I saw it, and I saw the link to the Joint Commission's, response, and the things that these nurses are saying and sharing their stories. It's really powerful. It's not like 5 or 10. This is thousands of nurses calling out. And if you follow the New York Times, the New York Times has been doing a series here recently also about, like, staffing and burnout in nurses. And so and we're still in the middle of a panini press. I can't say the word, the YouTube algorithm doesn't like it. So anyway, back to Nurse Blake and his comedy tour. So I went to the show. It was actually very funny. It was well oiled. The theater where he had it that I went to, he was selling his merchandise. He had like backdrops so people could take pictures. He also had a meet and greet, so you could pay a little bit extra with your ticket to meet him and take pictures with him. I didn't sign up for that option, but the show was actually good. It was funny. He's very snarky, right? And I didn't think about it then, but now with what's happening over the past few days, it all makes sense with some of the content that he talked about in his show. He called out like hospital operations and administrators. He called out regulatory agencies as part of that show and just talk about, how they should be doing more, what they should be doing to support nurses. He definitely took digs at them. I'm just gonna keep it real. He took digs at him. And even when I attended the show, when I go to places, I try not to just focus on what's directly in front of me. I just always like to kind of look around and observe. It wasn't just young nurses at his show, okay? There were nurses of all ages. And how do I know that? Part of the show, he did ask, like he did, just like he does on his social media pages, he did a call to action. He said, if you've been a nurse for 1 year, if you're in nursing school, no, he said, if you've been a nurse for 1 year, raise your hand or something like that. If you've been a nurse for 5 years, raise your hand. If you've been a nurse for longer than 10 years or longer than 20 years, for longer than 50. There were nurses in the audience that said that there were people in the audience that said they have been nurses for longer than like 40 or 50 years. And then he did a call to action, raise your hand or yell or something if you're a retired nurse. Then he said, if you're in nursing school, so there are also nursing students in the audience. Like, so then he said, if you're not a nurse, but your spouse is a nurse, raise your, so just to get a gauge. And that, when he did that, and I looked around and saw who was in the audience, I was like, wow, his reach is really wide, right? So he has, at least at his shows, you can't really tell on social media sometimes when you see people's social media handles, but just based on what I saw at his show and the diversity of nurses and nurses working not just at the bedside, that's when I was like, wow, his reach really is way beyond just online. Okay. And so that's really key. So a few days ago, Nurse Blake did a call to action, and you can see some of his other comedic type content here on his page, right? So you can see, and so I'm just gonna keep it real, y'all. A lot of them are funny. I'm not, and that's what draws you in, right? You draw people in with something that they're hooked. They start following you, and then you can start sprinkling in other things, right? So he also wrote a book here that you can see that is on Prime. So he did a call to action. Let's see. I'm trying to find the one that really. Let's see. I think this is it here, right? Okay. Yeah. So he did a call to action, and said, he also opened up a change.org petition. And I'm not going to link to the petition. You can go and see all what he's asking for them to do. And it's part just high level, just adding safe staffing to like one of the standards when they're doing their regulatory and accreditation. So he did a call to action, and y'all, you can see here just with this one post, how many people have engaged. And I can't scroll through comments on Instagram from my computer, but you can always go out there and read it. So you can see Dear Joint Commission, and then he tagged the Joint Commission. If your mission is to advocate for patient safety, safe staffing should be your main priority, not our water bottles. Okay. So he did that call to action. I'm sorry. It was actually 3 days ago. I said 2 days ago. I got, when I saw it last night, it had been 2 days. Okay. 48 hours. So he did that call out to the TJC. And then he posted the petition, and you can see before I open it, how many people have already engaged with it with likes and then also comments. So then he, posted the petition, and you can just read through the comments that nurses, and some of these nurses, or people who say they're nurses, let me put it like that, I guess, or allegedly, right? Some of these people who say they are nurses, they're also tagging. You can see they're tagging their coworkers. They're tagging their friends. They're tagging their nursing student friends. Again, I can't scroll through. They are, they're getting the word out. And even beyond posts, like on his feed, he's also posting stories. So, like when you post a story on Instagram, it disappears after 24 hours. It doesn't stay up like permanently unless the content creator sets they like pin it to the top of their page, like he did here with his Joint Commission thing. So he's pinned people's stories about when Joint Commission visited their facilities. Okay. And I'm just going to scroll through a lot, right? I mean, not a lot, excuse me. I'm just going to scroll through a few. Let's see. Will it let me? Okay. Let's see if it's going to let me like skip forward. I thought it would. Okay, no, it's gonna time itself. But anyway, so part of his story, and he may not have posted all of the stories from other nurses. He did a call to action within his stories. He said, tell me about the time when the Joint Commission visited your facility. Okay. And these nurses were telling stories like, I'm just going to, and this is all anecdotal, I'm just telling you what I saw, right? Because I don't know if he saved some of the stories that other nurses were leaving on his page, if he like saved them to this pinned content. But like there was one story where a lady said she was a nurse and a patient was like mid-fall, and she went to cradle the patient's head while her coworker went to go, she was cradling the patient's head to like stabilize their C-spine or whatever, while the other nurse was, going to get more help. And this person said that her nurse manager stuck her head in the room and was like, asked her to come out, like to leave the patient on the floor and come out into the room and talk to so you can see, this where her nurse manager, here it is, yeah. So her boss pops her head in and says, sees what's going on, and asks if she can step out to talk to the surveyor. Right. So this is interesting. Okay. So, and these nurses, some of these folks are like tagging the TJC, leaving their feedback. And again, so that goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the video. Just like, when you have these social media influencers who are nurses and they have these millions of followers, that's a lot of reach, because like I'm a nurse, or you may be a nurse that follows him, or you may not be a nurse, because I went over to his TikTok page, and he's posting stuff on TikTok, and I've seen hospitalists who are social media influencers, respiratory care therapists, engaging with his content. So it's not just the reach that he has with nursing, it's the reach that he has with other healthcare workers. And again, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a thing, right? And it's really getting the eyes of people. And you can see even here where he posted the salaries of the Joint Commission's executive leadership. Okay. So it's a lot, y'all. And it really made me like, so it has been not even 24 hours, right? And I was just like, wow. So you can go out to his social media page. and engage and just kind of see what folks are saying. And I have some thoughts about that, but let me just, okay. So I want to talk a little bit about not beyond him, right? Because he has this thing going on, where he's calling out the Joint Commission. And I also saw, let me just flip back to his page here really quick. It looks like he's also affiliated or have linked up with 501 503, whichever is the nonprofit, So he's also linked up with a nonprofit. And if you go to his Instagram page, you can see where he has connected with that nonprofit's Instagram page. And they've also, talked about the same thing and shared the petition, shared some feedback. They are now asking for additional engagement from nurses. It's really interesting, y'all. And I say it's interesting because it seems like to me it's continuing to grow legs. Where it's going to go, I don't know. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit, just wrapping up, about social media nurses that are social media influencers and content creators and their reach. Okay. So there are a lot, if you're not on social media and you don't do Instagram, you don't do the TikTok. And let me just say, I have a YouTube page, I have a Twitter page, I have an Instagram page. I did not until recently create a TikTok page. My nieces, bless their hearts, they're in college. They're not nurses, they're college students. But they saw what I was doing. They was like, TT, you need to get a TikTok page. And I was like, well, why do I need a TikTok page? They was like, because TikTok, you get more views on TikTok. Right. And I was like, and I really drug my feet on doing that because I didn't know TikTok. I didn't understand it. I was like, oh, I got to learn another social media platform. And they kept saying, TT, you need to get on TikTok. You have good content. You may not have a lot of followers, but, just keep going and get on TikTok. So I created a TikTok, right? And they were right. So I'll post a video here on YouTube. It may get 40 views. Okay. But then I'll link it on LinkedIn, if it's relevant to technology. And on LinkedIn, I may get 100 or 200 views. I'll put it on Instagram, that same video, same little clip. I won't post the whole thing. That same little clip on Instagram will get maybe 15 views. Y'all, I will post that exact same clip that I posted on Twitter, Instagram, and posted on TikTok. That video will get like 2,000 views. And I don't have a lot of followers. That's the key, right? And so, so they were right. The reach of nurses on Instagram, on TikTok, it is wide. And if you're a hospital administrator or you're working in a role as operations or or even like nursing administration, y'all, your nurses, they are online and they are talking to one another, and they are connecting with nurses that are not just within their organization, but literally around the world. Okay, so I'm going to share some other social media nursing influencers, and I'm going to stay on the side of because I love to laugh. That's I come to social media to just for like laughs and to learn things like in a positive way, right? So I follow healthcare influences. Like there's Dr. Glomaflecken. If you're not familiar with him, he's an ophthalmologist that creates comedic content. But you know what? Now that I mentioned Dr. Glomaflecken, he has millions of followers, millions of views as well. But his reach is so strong among physicians, right? And agencies that the CDC actually linked up with Dr. Glomaflecken and created a comedy video around the importance of taking the vaccine. So these social media, these healthcare providers that are social media influencers, they actually have a lot of reach. Okay. So I'm going to share a few that have some comedic genius. There is Strong Promises, which I'll share one or two of his videos. There's also Nurse John. He shares comedy videos, about being a nurse on TikTok. There's Nurse Julia. I'm going to share one or two of hers. There are a ton of travel nurses on TikTok, y'all. There's a ton of travel nurses on TikTok, and there's a ton of travel nurse recruiters on TikTok creating content and reaching nursing and encouraging them to, travel and talking about how much money they're making. Now, on the Instagram side, I noticed like there's some funny content videos on Instagram from content creators, but I noticed, and this is my opinion, the nurse influencers on Instagram, their content to me seems to lean more towards the educational, like there's financially intentional. She is a nurse based out in California. She's a NICU nurse, NICU or PICU nurse, based out in California, and she has created a whole platform around teaching nurses how to be smart with their money. She has great content. There's the nurse lawyer. So the nurse lawyer on Instagram, she is a nurse and she went back to law school, and now she teaches nurses not only how to protect their licenses, but also how to create businesses and how to generate additional streams of income while you are still working, like if you have a full-time job as a bedside nurse or another type of nurse. Let's see, who else is there? There is a home health nurse on TikTok that I follow. Excuse me, she's not home health, she's a hospice nurse on TikTok that I follow. And her content is just she talks a lot about death and dying and supporting the patients and supporting the families and things to look out for. There's nurses on TikTok that talks about educational type things, like, what to look out for, how to put your patient in Trendelenburg. There's a lot, right? So if you are in a position of authority or hospital administration, and you're not on TikTok, or Instagram or social media, this is very likely. I can't say with 100% confidence, but there is a likelihood that there could be nurses that your facilities and organizations on these social media platforms engaging with these content creators who are very influential and very strong. And it's not just nurses, it's not just physicians. I follow a neurosurgeon, a spine neurosurgeon on TikTok, and some of her videos are funny, some of her videos are educational. She does a really good balance. I cannot remember her name off the top of my head, but she's been a spine neurosurgeon for a long time. She has a lot of just good content about being a woman spine neurosurgeon. There are respiratory therapists creating content and influencing. So anyway, all right. So Strong Promises. So he did a whole series. This is great. This is one of my favorite series that he has done. So this one is God creating NICU nurses, but he's also done God creating ER nurses, God creating nursing students, God creating labor and delivery nurses. So let's check out fair use. Let's check out his video on God creating NICU nurses. All right. So, all right, that's Strong Promises. And you can see here before I go on, here, let's see, can I scroll? Oh yeah, I can scroll. Some of his videos have literally millions of views. Like you can see the one we just watched where God created NICU nurses. He has over 500,000 views on just that one video. Okay. And then he has more content. You guys can go and just, it's really good. Like God creating OR nurses. That one is pretty good. And then he also has God creating new grad nurses. So that's one of my favorite series. He also did a series. So yeah, I forgot about this. So Strong Promises also did a series. Here's God creating CVICU nurses. But what he did, when I talk about the reach of these social media nurses, the reach of these nurses on social media, he did a series. He did a movie where he pulled in all of the nurses on TikTok who have strong following, and they created a pandemic name movie where they did I don't know how they did it. They probably like filmed like their individual scenes, and then he mashed them all up, and it's out on YouTube, it's out on Instagram, it's also on TikTok. But it's actually really good, right? And it gives it's a fake movie, of course, but it gives a view of what's been happening over the last 2.5 years from a nurse's point of view, and it's very dramatic. All right, so here's one other nurse social media influencer, and this is Nurse Julia. And you can see Nurse Julia. Now, she really has some influence. Okay. So she has how many followers? She has she has over 194,000 followers. Okay. But you can see her videos. Like this one video here has almost 5 million views off of one video, right? So that's one. So when I talk about the power of nurses on social media and their reach is strong. And if you're not paying attention, these nurses, they're really reaching people. So, oh, sorry. All right, y'all. Let me start it over from the beginning. I think I was talking so you can see. So most of her, like almost 100% of her content just about is funny. So let's check this one out. Okay. Yeah, so she has really good content as well. So y'all can go check out some of these influencers and some of the comedic. Again, most of my follows are just people who does funny, create funny content because I come on social media to relax and learn just a little bit. So my final thoughts, okay? My final thoughts about Nurse Blake, the Joint Commission, the power of social media and these nursing influencers. So, and just 3 thoughts. Number one, activism in healthcare has changed. Okay. It's not the active, like I've been a nurse for 23, almost 24 years. And the activism, I think about how nurses used to do it, like, Day on the Hill for nurses, march to the Capitol, things like that, like in the state capitol or the nation's capital. Writing letters to your legislator, which I think people still do. That's still there, but I think these nurses creating content online and reaching the people that it can reach is far much stronger than what we used to do or what used to be done around like Day on the Hill and things like that. Enough for, when one social media influencer can post a video 2 or 3 days ago and about and tag the Joint Commission and their thoughts about the Joint Commission and get literally thousands of nurses to engage with and that's one thing I forgot to share with y'all. I wanted to I forgot, sorry y'all. what the Joint Commission said in response to this initial call to action. Okay, so the Joint Commission says the Joint Commission always appreciates an ongoing dialogue. It's okay to disagree at times, but we do insist on civility. Please refer to our social media guidelines in the About section of our Facebook page for clarification about our right to remove abusive, profane, or repetitive comments. These are challenging times, and we want to work together to focus on patient safety. So when I saw this last night, it was like 13 hours, so it hasn't quite been 24 hours, but nurses are lighting the Joint Commission up in these comments. And some of these nurses, you can see the facilities they work at. Some of them, a lot of them, you cannot. And also know that it goes down in the DMs, y'all, just like that song by Yo Gotti says, it goes down in the DMs. But you can, I'm not going to scroll. Well, first of all, I can't scroll through, but you can go out here and read and just see the things that these nurses are saying back to the Joint Commission. And you think about the level of connectivity that we have as healthcare workers to these agencies and can connect with them in ways that we have not been able to connect with before is strong. So that goes back to my first point. Activism in healthcare is changing. Number 2, again, the reach of nurses on social media goes way beyond just nurses. And I say that because the New York Times just this week, not just this week, but also in the past few weeks, but they posted another video from a nurse this week talking about burnout in healthcare. And there, I think there was, if it wasn't the New York Times, it was another large journalism organization. It was a nurse who did a video, very short video. I think it was the New York Times, like 6 minutes long, and they were talking about why they quit nursing and why they were burnt out. And so the New York Times has a whole series about that. And also, I know more than people who are not nurses are paying attention, because Nurse Blake, remember I said earlier, he does the series where the category is, and he'll ask nurses to send him photos of the organizations that they work at, or things like that. He did a call to action. The category is Nurses Week gifts. And nurses were sending in photos of their Nurses Week gifts. And there was a health system. This is true, y'all. You can Google it. But there was a health system that gave their nurses rocks for Nurses Week. And one of the nurses who worked at the facility sent it in. It was a photo, and it had the actual name of the facility. Because, a lot of times when you get your Nurses Week gift, it has either like a little handwritten tag of your organization or it's stamped on it. And that photo went viral. I know it went viral because I don't do a lot of Facebook, but I was on my Facebook page, and someone who is not a nurse reposted it like 2 weeks ago. But that photo came out during Nurses Week last year, 2021. But people are still engaging with that content. So the reach of what nurses are saying on social media goes far beyond just nurses. Okay. And then number 3, this is my final thought. Okay. My very last, excuse me, and final thought. Organizations, facilities, healthcare leaders, executives, managers, directors, team leads, etc. I say, y'all, if you don't have someone in your organization doing this or on your team, I think it would bode these people in these organizations well to pay attention to what your staff are saying, not only about their own experiences working at the bedside, working in whatever department they work in, but what they're saying about your organization on social media. Because there are nurses who are saying things about their facilities, and you don't always know who that person is, but there are people posting things. Like, I remember there was a category is broken hospital equipment, and people were posting photos of like broken equipment with like signs and stuff on it, or just things that you would not want people who are patients or may come to your facility to see, right? Things that if a regulatory agency came in, it would definitely be a ding. Okay. So this is just my opinion. Does not reflect the views of anyone or any organization, but I think it just really would bode these organizations well to just pay attention, right? It's just what are folks saying? And most facilities have social media policies, and from what I understand, these social media policies may focus around not sharing patient data, PHI. I wouldn't want my PHI. I would not want my bedside nurse to put anything on social media about my family, my loved ones, etc., or me. But I just think it is time, if organizations are not, to pay attention, maybe have a team, just see what people are saying, not just patients, and patients who may leave positive, feedback on your hospital social media page talking about how good the food was at your facility. I've seen those kind of posts, which is good, which is positive, or saying my nurse was really good. They took really good care of me. But what are your staff saying, right? What are they saying about your facility? I've seen people posting about how terrible their managers is, their directors are, and and again, staffing ratings. Let's not even touch staffing, because that's just such a hot. It's so hot. I don't even want to go there. But people are talking, and your nurses are talking. So yeah, y'all, that's it. I think this might be my longest video, but I really wanted to talk about it because it's just so hot and it's evolving. And when I saw the Joint Commission engaging and how this nonprofit that this influencer is tied with and the things that they are saying, it really made me pay attention. And it's all fresh and new. It's still unfolding, so I'm definitely going to pay attention. I would love to hear you all's thoughts always. I keep this, I like my page and my content to be positive. Criticism is okay, but keep it respectful. Just like the Joint Commission said, I don't tolerate, negative bully. Yeah, I don't tolerate that. I don't play that around here. Okay. But you're more than welcome to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. I'll leave my contact information in the description box. Y'all be safe out there, and just one thing, we are nurses and we are, taking care of patients to me is the number one priority. Keeping them safe, making sure, you're able to provide, a good high quality standard of care, right? That should always be the priority. And then their loved ones, and then of course taking care of yourself. Y'all be good out there, and I'll see you in the next video.